Hello, my dear chess friends. Really quick review of round 6 of New Zealand Champs, so-called Congress. I'm just doing it for sake of just covering the games. I'm not kind of pretending it's going to be really deep analysis or anything, just briefly overviewing what was played in the first 15 boards, which was basically the top seed there. Um, so um, Basically, it was actually the most of the boards there. Yeah. Okay, so first one is Elshan Moradiabadi was playing against Nick Crowd, and it was not a really um, common opening here for sure, but the final combination was interesting there. Um, White performed really nice sec there, so taking there and here, in fact, f4, and attacking here was the final mistake, which allowed really nice combo there. Check with the queen, and if the king takes, then check here, winning the rook and also taking back the um, queen. Black could also save the bishop, of course, with check, but then bishop is stranded here as well. So yeah, it was really unfortunate. 19 move defeat for Nick Crowd. Next one was Robert Smith against Daniel Gong, and here it was played Sicilian defense, but then Bob suddenly wanted to go for some kind of close defense here, and we emerged with some kind of Benoni structure in the end. Um, White plays without move h3, which allows that really nasty pin here, and I think that allows Black to equalize. But still, it was quite a good game for White because um, basically all the counterplay here for Black is restricted, and he needs to maneuver a lot just to get something in there. And as you see, computer actually says that, well, White has got some significant advantage here, namely like more than one pawn. And it's just, yeah, it's quite a significant advantage for such opening. So taking there, well, yeah, that's some kind of combination here which was not really sound. Maybe White just needed to wait and, yeah, the usual, well, computer says here, and it's actually a usual maneuver to bring your um, knight to c4 instead. But Bob actually produced some kind of combination here, which was a fork, but basically what happened there is the knight actually moves attacking the bishop, and in fact, well, White is uh, uh, staying uh, piece down at the moment, right? So he got back. If he takes, then this take here, or the queens are exchanged first, and then knight takes, and basically, yeah, White is still staying uh, down one piece. So bishop stands away. Uh, the other bishop also stands away. In fact, yeah, White has got this nice pawn here, but that guarantees White no more than a draw probably with the best result. So here we take here on b7. Yeah, another pawn coming in, but well, another pawn comes in fact, but um, yeah, Black is definitely having a piece, so that actually allows to probably equalize. But here, I'm really surprised that Black gave away a lot of pawns. So yeah, I'll just have a really quick break, guys. Yeah, sorry for a quick break, guys. Okay, so now we get into the position where White again has some advantage because Black allowed him to take a lot of pawns in here. But the conversion is a little bit hard here. So the pawn is going to be attacked and blocked, and White still needs to, um, you know, backflip in the air just to make sure that he doesn't really lose the game. All right, and now it goes there, centralizing. Still, White has got advantage here, pushing the pawn forward. All right, so here Black has mistaken, as the computer says. It looks like, well, the best move here for Black was just to take the pawn. Knight takes, and then I believe that the rook should take, right? So the exchange happens here, and yeah, I believe the extra piece might say its word here. So let's just see what the computer says in a moment. So yeah, but taking with the knight, computer says yeah. Okay, and it is nearly equal. Well, still advantage to white, but not significant one that is enough for a win. Okay, taking the bishop here, taking the knight on f6 with the bishop was giving away a lot of advantage here because bishop here now is much better. But the idea was to bring some more pawns into play, and that actually ruins everything. But well, again, during the game, it is really hard to see that. Computer recommends queen to f5 with some hypothetical idea here, but yeah, the variation here is knight f5, queen f5, and then attacking on the king side actually, using that pawn as like pinning down basically two pieces of black. But still, yeah, well, it's really hard to find during the game. So g6 is played, the position is still equal. Now white starts to gradually give away more and more advantage. So taking the knight on e6 is basically a mistake. Well, was that necessary actually? That's what not sure. Maybe we just pushing the pawns exactly. That's what first comes to my mind at least. But taking there, taking with the queen. Now black has got advantage here. And probably white banked on those pawns. But hey, white is actually rook down now. Another mistake on behalf of black. I think he should just taken here. But again, that's not really sure. Another mistake for white. Really huge. Yeah, and now he finally takes on d7. Taking d7, taking d7, taking d7, and here emerges a really interesting endgame in which white has got three pawns, which quite advanced, compared with black that has a bishop and queen. It's really interesting, but well, under normal circumstances, still, a piece is a piece, and especially where black could just organize some attack on the enemy's king. And white pawns are not that advanced to create some problems so far. Okay, now exchanging queens, it is definitely well. If black takes the queen, would that be, yeah, that would be nearly equal. No, that's not nearly equal. So still, black has got advantage, probably enough to win here. But nevertheless, queen takes one pawn, and now the pawns are just disappearing slightly slowly from the board. And now another check. The position of white's king is quite dangerous, and another attack here. White has to defend the king, and then the pawns are just not going anywhere. Yeah, and white actually resigned here. Nice, nice, really nice game with some mistakes for sure, but hey, who plays without mistakes? Show me. Now, next game was Semi Shocker against David Silva Vincenti, and the Grandmaster actually won the game. So, David usually plays the Dutch defense in most of the cases, and here it comes something interesting with the pawn sacrifice. In fact, if taking here, though, I believe that there is some kind of catch in there. So, just to be sure, if take yes, let's check. and the knight is gone, definitely. So knight c6 instead, c3, e5. Still, um, the pawn here is intact. Before grabbing some uh, advantage on the queen side. Now a4, d6. Now the pawn is still intact, interestingly. Now, but knight goes to d2, h6, developing the bishops, and in fact, well, still, position is, yeah, I will turn off the engine and just try to do that estimation by myself. Yeah, well, why didn't really achieve much in here, right? So that pawn here, the bishop is actually stranded. Um, the position is nearly equal, right? So now becomes, well, here comes a little bit of strange maneuvering. Uh, Going with the pawn there definitely weakens the king. Uh, okay, so white counterattacks, the pawn goes further, knight goes away. The problem is that white will get those nice squares for the uh, knight afterwards, which will be really hard to handle. If the knight lands here and he takes taking there, then this diagonal is going to be quite, exposed. So yeah, okay. So but nevertheless, that's covered here. The only problem is just to like f3 covering here. Going there, covering both squares. That's cool. So knight probably lands on d5 these days. The bishop is open now. Going there, locking the position. c5. Okay. So what is the idea of that move? Taking there, knight goes to c4, and then what we are doing is, um, are we sacking here or something or what? What does computer say? So slight advantage to white. Yeah, and once he went c5, yeah, that's exactly what black should be doing. Okay, going there, taking, c6, breakthrough, going away, taking. Now this is the really nice square for the knight. Going there. Ah, okay. So here what happens is um, black has forgotten that the queen can actually go in and create a lot of problems here, and most of the pieces are on the on the queen's side. So here comes check, another threat of a discovered attack on the enemy's queen. Going there, queen goes in, and yeah, now black's position starts to become really dangerous. d6. So well, there was probably nothing to do here because yeah, taking, and yeah, the black's position is basically falling apart. Going there, knight goes there with a checkmate threat. So defending, tying, going there, taking on e6, taking with the queen. Check here, of course. Check, and the queen is gone. Yep. And here, yeah, after a couple of moves, black resigned. Interesting, really interesting. So how seemingly like equal equal position got exploited by the grandmaster. Suddenly, the queen jumped in, which black probably has forgotten about. Okay, next game, Joshua Langford playing against Russell Dive. So here, Joshua usually plays e4, as I noticed, and Russell plays the Nidorf. Wow, I don't really know if he plays the Nidorf in general. Maybe I just didn't see all of his games, but that's an interesting choice because Joshua always plays the English attack here. So e5, usual for English attack structure. Now, well, I'm not quite sure, but the stats here say that knight d5 is basically the most preferred play, and yeah, I don't really like this idea of changing to on d5. Is that Does that mean that, well, black hasn't got this counterplay connected with d5? What about castling? So he castles, and then yeah, g4, and well, yeah, that's how white scored a lot of uh, wins here. Okay, knight d5, maybe that's kind of a new fashion and a continuation here, or variation. So going there. Yeah, well, hard to understand really, because going there, well, it is easily defendable. Maybe he was counting on some kind of tactics here, but definitely moving the piece twice in the opening is not really good idea. So why wouldn't you just castle? Or yeah, as the computer says, g4 with the continuous attack. Right, yeah, well, yeah, then the knight goes away, and this is not a really good spot for the knight. Yeah, he attacks b5, but b6, sorry, but b5, and what then? So castling a4, preventing b5, still b5, taking, going away. Now attacking here. Black has got a lot of pieces aligned to get on d5. So exchange here with check. Again, black has got really tempo play here. And white hasn't got any attack. That's the problem. So before then, c4. Okay, going forward, going there. Yep, g6, trying to create some attack here. Black doesn't allow that. g4. Well, yeah, that's already kind of a bit too late. Check here. White needs to give away the exchange. Exchanging on f5. Exchanging the queens. Black has got an exchange, right? So white banks on the d passer, but it is stoppable, of course. Yeah, it is easily stoppable, and that's basically it. Yeah, there is no escape. Interesting. Now Laila Temirgazi played against Ben Haig. Ben is quite a strong player. Laila is, I think, from Wellington. So here, well, Ben, yeah, that's like a total disdain playing the Chigorin defense against a weaker player. I think it is quite a funny choice here. But equally, the solution here was proposed by Grandmaster Shereshevsky to play just e3 here. And what then? If e5, yeah, well, can take on e5, in fact. And yeah, it's kind of white has got really stable advantage there, and black needs to defend all the time. So yeah, but going to all of this, well, Chigorin defense could be quite quirky because kind of what happens here, black develops one piece where white doesn't, right? Trying that, then taking there, d4, but then, well, black just attacks the enemy center here. Yep, similar to Queen's Gambit, accepted. Going there, yeah, cool, the knight goes down. But in fact, yeah, white has got kind of a center here. Black will have no problems here, just developing the pieces here, and yeah, nothing really serious. Although the theory here says that knight f3, and then that's what happened in the game, by the way. Knight d6, sorry, bishop d6, then bishop g5 is also played, but it's not really good for, not too good for white, but still playable, yeah. Then goes f6, and it is still theory. Knight e3, sorry, bishop e3, castling, uh, bishop d3. Well, yeah, preventing f5 probably, but the best move here is actually knight to bishop to e2. Okay, cool. Nevertheless, let's just see what how the game went. Taking there. Now black has got two bishop advantage, and he's playing towards the king as well, so trying to open up everything in here. C5 taking, going there. Now, well, yeah, black just gradually outperforms, and that's what Ben usually do, just playing on technique. And in fact, here it was already kind of undefendable. White resigned. Next, Philip Aktamati played against Anthony Kerr, and that game was the London as usual for Philly. Um, Going there. Now it becomes some kind of hedgehog system here, but yeah, nothing really serious. Everything was exchanged. Philly was probably okay with a draw here, but Anthony was pushing towards win, and he managed to do so. So White's position becomes a little bit more kind of cramped, and here comes Black's got really serious advantage now. He blocked the pawns. The knights are kind of monstrous here. The blockade is actually really strong. And look at that knight here, like that bishop, sorry. So it just doesn't really see any um, daylight anymore. Going there, and gradually those pawns actually made a win. But in fact, you know, guys, here the computer says the evolution is equal. So basically the knight was going somewhere, whereas it should be going somewhere closer to the center maybe. What the computer says here? So going there, going forward, then going there and blocking. It's actually really hard to crack that position. It's really cramped, but once the knight goes there, this pawn is gonna be under attack. And how would black improve his position? Those two pawns are gonna be marching as well. So two pieces should be defending that particular pawn, and the king could just go, right? Interesting. What was the computer line here? Taking, and here. Yeah, it's a draw because that's a proper square here. Wow, interesting. But it's as usual for the computer. You can make it can make the draw with solo moves there. It is really easy, but for a human, it is definitely not as easy as it is. Yeah, that particular pawn guarantees black a win. Next, Mike Stidman played against Ryan Winter, and it was really funny defense here. Well, that's what Mike usually plays. He just avoids all the theoretical lines, and yeah, we will see. So basically, at some point, and that's what usually happens. Mike plays really passively, allowing Black actually to get a really good position, but then somehow his opponents just collapse. It's just, yeah, it's still like a huge advantage to Black now. So how would White manage to win this position? So Black now mistaking. Well, that's one mistake. But position is now the second mistake, and that's how it goes. Gradually and gradually, Black makes really bad moves and finishes with this a rook. In fact, um, stranded, right? And it's really interesting because I think White might have lost on time because I don't really see that there's any forced win here. Yeah, White has got two pieces for a rook, but maybe it's to catch that rook then somehow. But the king can't really go that way. And the computer says like 1.8, which is definitely not resignable. That's interesting. Next, David Zhu played against Herman van Riemsdyk, and here it was something like Benoni. Oh no, it is Benko Gambit now. Okay, and I'm pretty much sure since Herman played that one for his whole life, he knows all the ways to equalize and even get some initiative here. So that's how it was going, and gradually black got a much better position, which he converted to a win. Yeah, and the opponent game obviously is lost. Next, Leo Maclaren played against Edward Reigns, and it was a draw. So Leo played his usual Alapin attack in Sicilian, and here it goes as usual. So we go uh, with some interesting exchanges in the center, and then I think White was even worse here because, well, look at that pawn. It's definitely worse for White than some kind of maneuvering. Black lost his advantage, and then now it is still better for Black, in fact. Taking there, taking there, taking there, going G. Still Black is quite good here. And probably, well, and it's still not the, still not time trouble, so yeah. And so here, what happened? He played that way, yep. Taking, taking here, there. Interesting. Check, going there, going there. So yeah, I believe White cannot really win that thing because he had to exchange here. Yeah, that's a draw, uh, a draw position. In fact, going there, check, going there. Black's king is cut off, can't really get closer to the pawn, and then endless checks start to happen, and yeah, that's a draw. Okay, now Daniel played against Hao Tang, and here the game is actually not recorded, so it was a problem with the GG board probably. Oli Archer played against Jasmine Zhang, and Jasmine plays her usual um, um, uh, Queen's Gambit declined, but here it is interesting. Notice that she played this interesting variation, which was called uh, um, I don't remember how it was called. I think it was. I need to refresh my mind how it is called, but that one prevents White from playing Bishop to g5 right away, but it could be transformed, of course. So knight goes there, there, and g5. G5 is still playable here, of course, but only chooses bishop to f4, and it's also kind of playable variation here, but that one is a little bit passive for Black. So what happens here? Nice counter attack there, there. Light square bishops are exchanged, which should be okay for Black, in fact. And here starts some kind of an interesting tactical operation, which in fact gives Black advantage after a while. It's still advantageous for White, but then I believe that White kind of loses his grip at some point. And on a second, so White is definitely advantageous here. So taking the air, bishop takes, queen here, h6, f4, knight goes there, h3, g3 followed by that one, of course. Okay, h3 going there, taking. So currently the position is still in White's advantage because of that really strong pawn here as well and the ruined king side. Going f5, g4, and here goes all the advantage. So yeah, without moving that, what could we do? Yeah, naturally I want to give him a check. He goes away and want to do the rook left. He goes g4, but rook can go there and then play h3 anyways. So yeah, I believe that would be my idea here. So let's just verify with the computer. So check, yeah, definitely he goes away. Rook left or not? Was the rook left wrong here? Yeah, it's still good. There, f4, yeah, as I see it. Then, and then h3 comes, yeah. So still keeping advantage, but g4 seems a huge problem because the queen is trapped. My goodness. So queen goes away, but how suddenly that whole thing just collapsed? So it's equal now. H4 definitely opens up the lines there, not in white's favor. So why would you do that? Yeah, okay. Taking there, and that's a mistake because of check. Going away, and then queen goes there, and it's a checkmate. Wow, that's a really serious blunder actually. But yeah, yeah. Michael Saul played against Ewan McDougall, and it was, oh wow, that's Yanish defense, Yanish gambit. So here, well, there's a lot of things to remember, but d3, yeah, that's kind of a really common move here. Taking, knight f6, castling. Here, well, that's not a really good move here. The beast defense is actually bishop to c5. But d6 is equally playable. The problem is that this bishop here is a little bit stranded on e7 afterwards. But yeah, well, okay. d6, a rook there. Now it is really annoying pin, by the way, by black. And that's basically, yeah, you can't get rid of that easily. But instead of that, probably just going to fh5. Okay, I'll have a really quick break now again. Just a moment. Okay, so here what happens is in this position, yeah, it is still, well, annoying pin, but nothing too serious here. Taking there, getting back. A4, yeah, okay. Going there. Well, black still is not really developed, so is white. So just some kind of a random play here. Yeah, well, that's definitely not good. Where would the king go? Don't tell me it goes to queen side. No, king side still. But light square bishop is gone, which creates some attacking possibilities here for black. Because basically, what the whole black's paradigm here is just to attack on the enemy's king. That's why we open the f file. But once the light square bishop is gone, yeah, what are you going to do? This kind of weakening is also not too good. Yeah, and basically gradually white changes a lot of pieces here. Alright, and here comes the blunder. I was always thinking that TAU and McDougall is actually quite good at tactics, but he blunders too, apparently. So taking. Now this is a killer move here, yeah, because it opens up the position. The rooks are just getting mad. Taking, winning the piece, and basically, yeah, the whole game goes down the drain. And another time, actually, uh, that that fork happened 2 times. Now this rook is gone. Funny. Okay, next we've got Cohen Young playing against Nadia Braganza, and that young fellow actually drew against Herman Rimsdick, I think, in the first round or somewhere. But then suddenly he shows a really, yeah, not really good game. Not a really good play, I mean. So yeah, okay, going there, going there. Nadia plays all of the variations with dragon, in fact. So what would white choose? The Maroczy bind? Sure. Castling. So maybe f3 at some point, but equally that's okay. Rook c1, taking, going there. Actually, that's really interesting because yeah, this move is in, probably not too bad. Going there. Yeah, black has got no problems here. F4 is definitely not a problem. E5 is probably to be frowned upon, but I would just go back with the bishop probably. E4 is actually attacked, right? So looks like we have to take and simply take on E5, right? But he goes away. He attacks the rook. Now queens are not exchanged. Okay, going back with the bishop. Basically now E4 pawn is protected. Yeah, well now white has advantage in here. So it looks like, well, black probably misinterpreted how she should play here. Yeah, before the usual attack here on the king side, queen side, sorry. Just going there. I'm just curious to see how, okay. So here comes the blunder, it looks like. This pawn is not protected. So he goes and protects that. But what happens in the end? The knight should go. And then a5, okay. The knight is actually, the pawn is pinned. Because if it is taking the, gosh, if it's taking the bishop takes the knight. So yeah, taking there, yeah, here we go. And that's where white loses a piece. And basically that's sufficient for a win, I believe, especially with those nice. Um, oh no, hang on, the pawns are quite. Oh, that's yeah, that's quite. But still, yeah, black has got an extra piece here, so nothing to be worried about. Taking, still an extra piece. Nothing to do about that. And that's it. White resigned. Yeah, unfortunate blunder. Ben Thomas played against Edward Tannoy. Edward Tannoy seems like, well, I looked at his games and it looks like he's highly tactical, incredibly tactical, trying to confuse your opponent as much as possible. Now, yeah, well, this is an interesting, um, kind of interesting opening. Definitely black is not theoretically, um, um, okay, so here, see, he goes towards the king, but there's no attack in there, basically, right? So changing queens, then protecting everything, and when there is no attack, he probably doesn't really go anywhere. So check here, going away, taking here, exchanging rooks. Still, white's position is kind of favorable because of all the weaknesses. Now king goes in, my goodness. Checking the in. And here is the king's fork, which is really interesting stuff. Okay, win for white, and then Zachary Yu played against Nick Cummings, and here we got d4, Queen's Gambit accepted with the development of the bishop on g4, one of the um, favorite variations of Oleg Romanishин. So here we go, and yeah, white's pieces are quite nicely placed, but taking there gives black advantage. Wow, that's interesting exchange. Yep, going forward, exchanging. Yeah, black just nicely exchanges all of the pieces there. So yeah, f5, yeah, well, those kind of moves are to be frowned upon, frankly. Weakening the king's position this way, yeah. Although the computer recommends that, but well, no sane person would make that move, in fact. Unless there's real merit of um, getting some kind of nice play here. And here, white probably wants to punish black for playing that pawn, but in fact there is nice reply here, and he needs to go away, and then that move actually blunders because yeah, this was much better. Keeping the tension here, it's just yeah, lots of fork, so he couldn't really take, but the pressure here increases as well. Yep, okay. So then it goes f4, and here there is no advantage for black anymore. Now another blunder here, and I believe that, yeah, white wasn't severe time trouble, so check here, and the queen is gone basically. Again, winning one move because of the blunder, unfortunately. So here we go. That was the review of round 6 of New Zealand Chess Championship. 3 more rounds to go, and let's just see whoever is in fact in the leaderboard now. So standing at round 6, Elshan Moradibadi, then Daniel Gong on 5 points. I'm not sure if they played each other or not. Let me just quickly check the pairings here. Moradibadi, and he did play Daniel Gong, so they will be getting some other players that stand behind them. Alright, and the standing shows that there are 2 players um, on the second position. It was 4.5 pawns, and therefore those people will be getting those 2, or if they had already played somebody, lucky people from 4 points here. Okay, all right, and there were in total 44 players in this round, but one of them is gone, so one player usually gets buys all the time, which is kind of not really fair, but yeah. All right then, so here we go. The pairings are already in, so I believe we can see the pairings number 7. So here we go. Yeah, 2 grandmasters playing each other this round. Then Daniel Gold plays against Russell Dive. Let's see what it's gonna be. Ben Higg plays against Robert Smith. Then Nicholas Crowd plays against Celia Vincenti. Anthony Kerr against Hao Tang. Herman van Rimsdijk plays against Leo McLaren. Edward Reigns against Michael Saul. And I'll just quickly look through who plays whom. Here we go. And here I'm just looking at the downside here. Yep, okay. So that was again the review of New Zealand Championship round 6. I'm going to be covering round 7 tomorrow evening, and I will be also streaming Solving Tactics during daytime, which is going to be 2 p.m. New Zealand time, and it is 12 plus 12 GMT. Okay, so I'll put that in the schedule, and until then, bye bye, see you later, and take care.